Hi, I'm Terry Luck, Director of Communications here at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Church in Glenview. Welcome to another Fireside Chat. Today it's a cold one in January, so hopefully our conversation here will warm us up. It's a special Fireside Chat. We're going to talk about our music ministry. And joining us today, our pastor, Father Jeremiah Boland. You keeping warm, Father Jerry?
It's warm inside. I think I'm going to stay inside today.
And our special guest today, our Director of Music, Russell Stern. Welcome to the Fireside Chat.
Thank you. Great day for a fireside chat.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And before we get specifically into our topic, I'm so interested in the history of music within the liturgy, going back to the first century. Father Jerry, how did it all begin? How did music become part of the liturgy?
Great question, because a lot of people think of things very much in modern times, but music goes back to our Jewish roots. Jesus was an observant Jew, and liturgical music was very key to the Jewish celebration of the Seder and other Jewish festivals. So those very first Christians, kept alive the tradition of song and prayer. And there was a great connection between the reading of Scripture, the retelling of family stories, prayer itself, the ritual of eating, and peppered through these rituals are many different forms of music. And, for instance, we talk about Gregorian chant, and that itself can trace its roots to Jewish chant that existed, for centuries before there was Gregorian chant. Wouldn't you say so, Russell?
Absolutely. And today you could hear in the synagogue the chants from the Jewish religion, and you could hear how modal they are, which is a word for scale, but they're not the usual scales you hear in a lot of classical music. They're from an earlier time, and it kind of led to Gregorian chant. And it's a very spiritual thing. It's something that help people connect to a higher level of spirit, and so I found that to be really inspiring.
And we think of King David, you often see him with the harp. He was a patron of music. And now, of course, as time evolved and the church, the first Christians began to come from other cultures than Jewish cultures, they also brought elements of their musical history and culture into the liturgy. The early church fathers, the saints, began to write Christian hymns. But the whole concept of praising God in song was fundamental to Jewish worship, and we certainly were influenced as Christianity evolved by our Jewish heritage.
Mm-hmm. But there must be some Irish background in there too, right?
You'll find an Irish song now and then.
Well, let's bring it up to today, and let's talk about our music ministry. Russell, I'm sure all our parishioners recognize you during all the services, and they see you, but maybe they don't know you. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you wound up here at OLPH.
Well, my life has been all about music. I started when I was 5.5 at the piano, and I learned early on, they used to say, that music is the universal language. It's the language that could reach people in the heart and can communicate about God's love, no matter what religion or what thoughts people may have about things, that it goes beyond that. So I always benefited from that, and over time found a love for many different styles of music. So I was a concert pianist and playing concertos with orchestras and things like that, but I also was in a rock band, and I played for musical theater, and I ended up in jazz, and so I really ended up just loving all these different aspects. And so what brought me to the church is the ability to be able to communicate this love and from the Holy Spirit directly into the music and reach people on many different levels, whether it's something on a more meditative level where people are listening and may have a sense of their heart opening or experiencing God in some way, or another way of energizing or building excitement or bringing more meaning into the words of the gospel that are in the songs. So they're all different ways that I found have connected for me in my ministry.
And Tell us a little bit more about your religious background, because there's so many traditions that make up who you are.
Yes, well, I grew up in the Jewish religion, was bar mitzvahed, and to this day I still play for synagogue every week, and it's a very beautiful experience. And I also have, as an adult, have devoted myself to spiritual disciplines and exercises that have helped open my heart to God and helped me be more aware of different spiritual principles and lessons. And so when I had the opportunity to be a music director at Catholic churches, it was really exciting to read the gospel and to read the different parts of the New Testament, because they were not a part of my childhood. And when I read them, I had felt like this insight from the spiritual disciplines about what was being taught. And so I love what I do here is I plan the music based on reading the readings and tuning into what's important, what's really reaching my heart, what people are yearning for, and in the gospel and in the readings and the things I'm hearing in the homilies, the Eucharist, all the different things. So it's been exciting. Also, of course, the Old Testament readings are things that I've known my whole life as well. So it's exciting to have the opportunity to put that all together in a way that I can serve.
That's really so fascinating, because so you have this childhood tradition, then as an adult, you have a brand new tradition, and then you see how they all fit together. It's
Absolutely.
really beautiful.
Absolutely. One of the things in my adult tradition is singing like a chant as well. One of them is Hugh, which is like Hugh, and it's like an ancient name for God. And so it's like the Gregorian chant and the Taizé type chants that we do, or the Jewish chants. They're all just about opening the heart and to spirit. And so that has helped me fill myself with spirit in a way that when I come to church, I have something to give. I could just let go and just let it flow through.
And then how did you wind up here, and how long have you been here?
It's been 16 and a half years. And I, most of my ministry had been in the Chicago area. I was at St. Isaac Jogues, not far from here, for like 7 years. Then I was at St. Hubert's in Hoffman Estates for 11 years. Then I went to New York to get a second master's, and this was in musical theater composition, my love for theater. And so I was at a church in New Jersey for 4 years, and then moved back to be near the family. And this job was, they were doing a national search, and I got to audition, and I was so excited. There was so many people who I knew from the past, because I actually started here. My first experience in a Catholic church was here.
Really?
The organist here, for the mass in the choir that sang in the loft, he fell out of a tree. He was 90 years old. His name's Al Moyer. He was a legend, wonderful organist, but they needed someone for 4 months, and I was that person. And once I did that, and then Al came back, and I was like, I want to go deeper with this, and I had the opportunity to become a music director after that. All the way ever since then, I've been a music director, and it all started right here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Father Jerry, the last time we talked, we did a fireside chat about ministries for parishioners to get involved. It was the liturgical ministry with Margie Andre, and we talked about how certain ministries could be a good fit for the type of person you are. How about the music ministry? Talk about that and how it can help people to get involved.
Well, I think anyone that's involved in any of our liturgical ministries, whether it's lecturing or Eucharistic ministry or music ministry or arts and environment, once you get engaged on a deeper level, the power, the meaning of liturgy really changes. You become much more of a participant than an observer. And when you cross that line from, in a sense, watching things happen and then you're actually part of it, it changes your whole sense of it. I've heard people tell me that I just pray in a different way, I feel connected in a different way, I listen to the liturgy in a different way. And you're also serving the community. You know, that's a real important aspect of all this. You're not just doing something to do something, you're doing it out of service. Now, all of the ministries affect ultimately the experience of the liturgy. So I don't get into what one is more important than the other, but there's something that integrates all of the ministries. Music. The music is the thread that helps to welcome us at the beginning. It focuses us on the psalm response between the readings. It helps us prepare for the celebration of the Eucharist. We celebrate and sing as we receive the Eucharist. Of course, there's meditations. And so music's that kind of integrative element to the whole experience. Now, we all, we just heard last Sunday, there are many gifts in the same spirit. Some have the gift of song, some have other gifts. But I think that for the person that would like to see if they have the gift, I'd really encourage you to visit with Russell, and he can help you better understand like what our choirs do. And we are amazingly gifted with the kind of voices we have at OLPH. And there are any number of our choir members who, like, even if you said 5 years ago you're going to be singing in the festival choir, they would think you were crazy. They just didn't see that they had that calling. And then it's not just singing, but a community develops within the ministry itself. People develop long-term friendships. It's a way of getting connected to this large parish. Liturgy is the most important thing we do as a faith community. Nothing makes sense if we don't center it on the Eucharist. And so I would really encourage folks that might be thinking, I'd like to get more involved, I'm not sure. Sometimes it's a process of discernment. So talk to Russell, talk to Margie, talk to one of the priests if you'd like to help you discern how you might step it up a little bit in this new year in terms of your involvement in the liturgical ministry of Our Lady Perpetual Help Parish.
Yeah. And Father Jerry was just talking about relationships, building a community. Well, the relationships, you've been here 16 years. You must have had vocalists who started in the choir as children, and they've grown up. They're now part of the adult choir, or maybe they've gone on to professional careers. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
It's been deeply inspiring for me. When I started here, there was one singer who was in 5th grade, and she was in the children's choir. And she stayed in the children's choir all the way through until it was time to be in the teen choir, and then go to college, come back and sing for masses. And she's a wonderful professional musical theater singer who just sang for Christmas with us. And I just went and saw her amazing shows that she was in. And that's just one example. I mean, another one who's a friend of hers who was in all those years, she sings in the Milwaukee Symphony Chorus and comes back and sings with us like she did for Christmas. And so there's many examples of that. And this last Christmas for Teen Mass, I was having trouble holding the tears back because it was like at that Mass there were different, I won't say generations, but different iterations of sets of teens and kids that had grown up, and we were all there singing and playing, and they're all from different years. And it was just this harmony where we did all this music that we all knew together, and it was just very inspiring.
I can imagine if they're away at college or something like that, and they know they're going to come back and sing in this kind of a choir at Christmas, bringing their community back, that specific group, it just must be something that's such a thrill for them too.
Well, that's what I could just feel it from them too. It just felt like that, and also the adults, like Father Jerry was saying, the community there. We've all gone through a lot of challenges in our lives, and we're there to support each other as a community, and also celebrate the wonderful things. And then we let it all go. We work hard on the music, but I'm the type of music director who's all about being supportive, and I'm not the one who gets upset or yells about notes or mistakes or anything, but it's about the prayerfulness and opening your heart and the joy. And so we do that. We get to Mass, we let go of everything that's going on in the world, and it's this prayer that just soars through. And like you said, it's a gift of service, so that it's something that other people experience who are watching. But I do want to say that there are a lot of people have joined who haven't sung before or thought they couldn't, and we're also supportive and helpful, and they don't have to read music, and we can help them along. So if it's something you have in your heart that you just want to do it, and you're wondering, are you good enough? Don't worry about that part. There are a lot of people like that in the choir who have loved being in the choir.
No, I think that's a great thing. There's so many people who I think who always wanted to sing, and they never really did it. And here's the perfect opportunity to do that.
And actually, I know we're going to talk a little bit about some of the concerts, but the one that's coming up in March is an opportunity for people who've never sung in the choir, if they just want to try it and just sing some of these songs we're learning for the concert. Mm-hmm. And you can stay if you want after that, or of course, Holy Week is the month after. People can join just for that or for both, and just, we had someone who joined us just for Christmas, and it was her first time in the choir, and she came for about a month or two before, and she said she had a great experience with that, and so we're very open to that. And then you might find you want to stay.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about the schedule. How many concerts do you put on during the year?
We put on three during the year.
And over the years, I know that a lot of them have specific themes. Mm-hmm. Are there any, both of you, Father Jerry and Russell, favorite ones over the years that you remember fondly, or you have any stories about?
Well, for me, there's so many that were moving for me. I loved when we did the Rudder Requiem. It was a big journey for us, the hardest things that we ever did. And we all, brings me to tears when I think of it, but we all just dove in there. And it was this really deep, uplifting experience for us. And this last November, it was really exciting to have Freda Burke and Roderick Dixon sing for us, really inspiring, wonderful opera singers, Broadway singers, gospel singers. I've loved when I've gotten to premiere some of my albums here. I've loved in premiering compositions. I've loved our Broadway concerts. And then we did a movie music concert this last year that was really fun, and the year before it was standards and some chamber music concerts. I love that there's an opportunity to do so many different types of things. Like I said before, that I love so many different types of music, and people here are so supportive of it and love these different types of music as well.
Yeah. And just so parishioners know, all our videos are on our video library, on our website, also on YouTube and Vimeo. And Father Jerry, any particular concerts that stick out for you?
Well, one of the things I just hear from many folks who so appreciate the music ministry here, and I have to really commend you, Russell. One of the things I love about Russell, he has such a wide repertoire of interests. Now, I've been in many parishes, obviously, and you might have a music director whose primary focus is traditional classical music, or very contemporary music, or folk music, or everything's chanting. And I think we're very blessed, because on a typical Sunday, you can hear such a wide variety within the great treasury of liturgical music, and that's really your gift, Russell, is to be able to express yourself and appreciate the wide spectrum of liturgical music. And for instance, weddings, or I might say funerals as well, it's really important at those moments that those liturgies are as personal as they can be. And I don't know how many times a couple has wanted a hymn or a song that Russell didn't know, and within 24 hours he knows the song. He'll learn it. And also visiting musicians. Someone might say, well, my cousin plays the trumpet, or Uncle always sings at family funerals, and Russell's always so welcoming. But I really thought this last concert that focused on the opera and it's just breathtaking. And I really love that every concert's very different. So it's not just the same kind of music all the time. It's very different as to what's going on in this genius's mind here about how, but what's moving in his heart, you know. And he has many contacts, so every concert features, as we have always, you know, very gifted musicians that may have OL contacts or not. Or some have performed over the years, and so it's like coming home for them to perform in one of our concerts. There was a concert where Russell shared with us some of his compositions. Again, a lot of people didn't realize that Russell's a composer, and you know, it's just, and you know, we have these faithful groupies that come to every concert,
right,
because they wouldn't miss it. It's a great community building experience, and I can't encourage you enough as you see, if you ever see a concert being advertised, to make a point of coming to it. You won't be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. And just the comment you made earlier about how personal you make a service like a funeral for somebody. I remember one of the funerals was for somebody who really loved rock and roll, and you played "Stairway to Heaven" for the
meditation.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, and people loved it. It was really personal. Well, let's talk about what we've got coming up. We're ready for the next concert, right? Can you talk about what's coming up for us?
Absolutely. Well, the next concert's Pilgrims of Hope. And before I say much about the music, would you mind sharing something about Pilgrims of Hope?
Great. As many of you may know, the Holy Fathers declared this a holy year, which is a tradition that goes back to the 13th century. Every 25 years, the church celebrates a year of Jubilee, which again goes back to our Jewish roots. There was a Jewish tradition where a year of Jubilee was declared, where debts were forgiven, prisoners were freed, reconciliation took place in families. There was a real kind of a rebirth in the life of the community. And this year, the Pope is aware of how much we need messages of hope right now with the wars in the Holy Land, in Ukraine and South Sudan and Haiti. He's been very aware of the suffering in the world. And we need to be reminded that as people of faith, ultimately we're about hope. And his dream is that this year of Jubilee will be an opportunity for us to reflect on the reality of hope in the world. Even though there are wars and persecutions and hunger and poverty, there's also remarkable things people are doing to be messengers of hope. And so he's called the Universal Church to join him in this special year of meditation. We're all on this pilgrimage, all on this journey. Now that's a wonderful process that's happening in the church, and we have the privilege of being a pilgrimage site here at Our Lady Perpetual Help. The Cardinal asked if we would be one of the churches. Most people can't go to Rome to go on a pilgrimage to St. Peter's and the other 3 basilicas, but want to begin the spirit of being on a journey. So a number of churches have been designated in the Chicagoland area, and people are encouraged, visit that church in the spirit of pilgrimage. And when you visit that church, pray for the gift of hope in your life, your family's life in the world. And people are coming. Just recently, I had a big group from St. Hilary's Parish that came just to worship with us, and they were really moved by the liturgy. And we were talking as a staff as to how we might commemorate the year of Jubilee, and also what could we do as a ministry to the larger area, because we're a pilgrimage site. And Russell offered to dedicate a concert to the papal theme of Pilgrims of Hope. And so that will be kind of our inaugural event marking the Jubilee year.
And it goes on throughout the whole calendar year.
Yes, and there'll be other moments, other liturgies in the coming months. But for here at the parish, the first commemoration of the pilgrimage year will be this concert.
And it's March 16th. It's a Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. And one thing we'll be featuring is Margie Andre wrote a beautiful poem about Pilgrims of Hope. And we're going to have the choir sing beautiful music related to hope. And I think it's the second or third week of Lent, so it's going to be very prayerful, related to Lent, but also hopefulness, like hymns like Lord of All Hopefulness. There's a song called Song of Hope by Robbie Say Band, and it's kind of a contemporary one that I'm going to use throughout the year as kind of a theme throughout the year. And there's another Song of Hope that's an instrumental that I'm going to have different instruments play that was used during the pandemic, and they had people online, I think like thousands of instruments, playing their pieces and sending them in and playing it all together, and it's a beautiful piece. And Mendelssohn, He Watching Over Israel, and I'm also wanting to feature some young super talented instrumentalists instead of our wonderful professional adult performers who will be at some of the other concerts. They've done so many, but for this one, Santi Robles Berthier on cello. He played at our our film score concert from last year, and he's super talented cellist. And then Matthew Nuremberg on oboe, who played recently during the Christmas season. And there'll be some other wonderful instrumentalists, and so it'll be a combination of really inspiring music.
Wow, so that'll be amazing. Can you give out the date one more time?
Yes, March 16th, Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m.
That's fantastic. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. Russell, you mentioned that people can really join any time, right?
Absolutely.
And if they want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
In the bulletin, my email address is on the back page along with the rest of the staff. And so they can email me anytime. But that address is rstern, and then it's at the same address as everybody else at the church, so olphglenview.org. So that's the best way to reach me, and we'll just welcome you right away and let you know the schedule. So.
That's excellent. And Father Jerry, why don't you give out an invitation, one more final invitation for people to get involved in the choir.
So again, you know, these early weeks of the new year, sometimes it's stirring within us to want to get more involved or engaged, or maybe leave your comfort zone and try something to shake it up a bit, you know. And music ministry is a real option. I think if you talked to Russell, you'd feel glad that you talked to him, and you know, try it. You know, if it isn't quite fitting what you were hoping, at least you tried it. But there's a lot of people that tried it and end up being, you know, really a part of their life.
That's the thing; it becomes part of their life.
Yeah, and it's just so uplifting, you know, when people leave on Sunday that they feel that they have praised God in music and in song, and it's just part of the process or part of the experience, and it really is a ministry of service because you're leading us in prayer through music that draws, of course, all of us closer to the Lord Himself.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Father Jerry,
Thank
thanks,
you,
Russell, for being here as a special
Thank you,
guest.
Russell.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
And we hope to see you and your crew in the pew on Sunday, or maybe in the choir.